hopping on. If we haven't met yet, I'm Andy McCracken with North Carolina Pandemic Recovery Office. I work with our reporting team, who's been working very hard to make sure we are aligning all of the federal reporting requirements down to all the individual bits of info that we are asking of you all, so that our state is keeping up with what the U.S. Treasury and the legislature are looking for reporting on state fiscal recovery funds. Want to first thank folks who submitted their reports last month. I know those reports probably couldn't have come at a worse time of the year. So I want to thank everyone for their patience and grace and fortitude in getting all that information into us. We're able to successfully submit everything to U.S. Treasury and the legislature using what you all have supplied. So this month we are starting our what will be monthly office hours. So mark your calendars. We'll do this every second Tuesday of the month, so that we can get ahead of the monthly reporting deadline on the 15th of each month and answer any questions, troubleshoot challenges together, or provide updates. Today will be more of a update and reminder heavy conversation, and we'll be sure to leave sufficient time for questions and discussion. But want to make sure, since we're just going into the second round of SFRF reporting, that we are highlighting things that we're hoping you'll keep in mind as you submit your reports this month. Then we do have some updates based on feedback that we received that was very helpful this last month. So first, we want to remind you all that starting this month, reports will be due for all SFRF projects. Last month, we were only requiring reports for projects that had started spending money or obligating money. This month, we are going to require a report submission from everyone, even if there is no financial activity. That'll help us standardize our processes and make sure we're not spending a bunch of our time and your time trying to track down reports as we go. So that's the first note. The second note here is NC Pro released an updated subaward reporting template just yesterday. And so you should have received that from your grants manager either late yesterday or earlier today. If you haven't seen that yet, please contact your NC Pro grants manager. You can also find the updated template up on the NC Pro website. If you navigate to the main page, you'll see a menu bar for guidance, and you can navigate to the reporting information from there, and we'll follow up with that information, or we can drop it in the chat during the session. And for those who did submit data last month, we went ahead and transferred over your previously reported data into the updated template. So you should be ready to go, and those customized templates in those cases should have been provided directly by your grants manager. And then finally, just want to make a note that if there are any outstanding issues with reports that were submitted last month, if your grants manager is trying to get in touch with you to address anything from your July submission, please make the time to get together with them. We'll make sure the reporting team is available to support. We want to make sure that the data coming in, that we're setting off on the right foot and making sure everything is cleared up and clean with the data as we get all this started for this longer marathon of SFRF reporting that we're all going to be on for the next few years together. So we, with the specific to the subaward reporting, we wanted to emphasize a few other things, since we'll be moving into, for many projects, the second month of reporting. So first is, these are intended to be cumulative reports, in that what you've reported to us in the previous month should show up in your next month's report. Any new information, just add it to the next available row. So all of your July data will be, the information you submitted to us in July should, will show up where you had left it, and then pick up where you left off and start adding your August data. With that, if there are any changes you have to make, if you noticed an error or something has changed, or a subaward amount has been adjusted, do not alter or delete any information that you previously reported to us. We have directions in the sheet now to clarify how you can amend previously reported information. It'll need to be a new record for the new reporting period, which just makes whatever the net adjustment would be. So if you're adjusting down, we now allow for negative values in those appropriate columns. And if it's an upward adjustment, you just provide that net upward amount. And we can get into specific examples if need be, but just the important message here is do not alter or delete anything that you've previously submitted to us. And then finally, the reminder is all non-personnel obligations and expenditures have to be accounted for in the subaward reporting template as of now. So that means that not just, a lot of agencies are running subaward grant programs, very traditional subaward and subgrant kind of setup. Include that, but even your operational costs and such need to be accounted for in the document. If you are, for example, contracting with an entity and that contract is worth more than $50,000 just to carry out your programs, that would need to be reported in detail. Everything else is just reported in aggregate on the appropriate tab. I believe it's tab 7. So again, we can answer any questions about that, but just want to make sure that you all are tracking info as needed. Marquise, you're on video. I don't know that you need to be. Okay, great. So we did make some updates to the subaward reporting template that we're just going to briefly talk through, and then we can actually pull up the template if you haven't had a chance to look through it, but just wanted to make sure you're aware of things that are different and the feedback we received that should be reflected now. It should generally be reflected now in here. So there were a few glitches that were identified in the subaward document. We went ahead and corrected all of those. Like I said, we amended it so that negative values will be accepted by the template for columns related to obligation amounts and expenditure amounts. We added a help text row. There's a help text tab in the document. We went ahead and added a new row in each of the reporting tabs that provides a brief explanation of exactly what we're looking for in that column of data. This is important. We have updated, tried to clarify what a reporting month is in the sheet. So I'm actually going to go ahead and pull up the template so we can look at this together as we explain. So we have reporting month here, as you know, and we've added information down here to clarify. So moving forward, the reporting month that you select should be the month during which you are submitting the report. So the August report should have August 22 selected. We understand that the data you are submitting is before August, and should be really clear that it shouldn't, when you are submitting in August, you shouldn't include any activities that occurred in August. But to keep, because there will be information that it may be amended from prior reporting periods, and still maybe some, at this point, we may be catching up on activities that occurred back in April or June. We want to make sure that the way this is all designed, that we are keeping track of the most recently updated information. So we're going to orient data around the current reporting period as opposed to when events actually occurred. You'll still be able to identify when things occurred. For example, if you made a new obligation, subaward date should reflect the actual date when you entered that agreement. Same goes with expenditures, should reflect when expenditures occurred. But the reporting month should be identified as the current month when the report is due. So I wanted to highlight that, that change. And then, let's see, can you all, there we go. Then we added a comment section to the tab to the first tab. If there's anything noteworthy that you think is important to make record of in relation to your submission for that month, go ahead and you can use the comments box on that first tab, just under where you provide information on who's actually submitting the report. And then finally, as I briefly showed, there's some new notes and guidance that are actually in the template itself. Those are the changes to the subaward template. Feel free to, as we go, add questions in the chat. I'm going to keep moving along, though, hopefully get ahead of questions. So we know that even though we are requiring entities to submit reports, we know that not all projects have activities to report. So here are some new guidance for how to submit zero expenditure and zero obligation reports. So hopefully this little box here looks familiar from Pangram in the expense report page. So you do have to enter a reference number, a reference date, a description, select an accounting category, and provide an amount. For each of those, or these notes reflect what just suggestions for what you can do here. So the first note is the reference number can be anything that you generate that you'll be able to, if you need to reference back to this particular report, even though you're reporting zero expenditures, this is just a number that means something to you all. It does not need to satisfy any particular requirements on our end. The reference date, just use select the last day of the reporting period. So if you are reporting data from July, just select July 31st, and that would be reflected in what you're submitting for your August report. And then note 3 for accounting category, just go ahead and select the first option there, which is grant administration personnel costs, and then go ahead and enter 0 and click add line, which is the button to submit that information. Next, for support for submitting zero obligations. So there are 9, or I guess there are really 8 questions, and there's a drop down, which is a conditional question. So there are a handful of items here under programmatic data section. Please do go ahead and affirmatively answer that there's zero obligations for the period. So you'll go ahead and enter 0 for current period obligations. But then if you have zero expenditures and zero obligations, you can go ahead and skip the rest of these questions for now. We are working on, Youngjin and Hank and team are working with the SAP team to continue to update and improve functionality in Pangram. The system adopted a lot of business rules that predates Pangram and NC Pro even. So we're working to make sure that these processes and business rules best reflect how we are managing SFRF. In the meantime, you can answer just the Q2 about current period obligations. Again, if you have zero expenditures and zero obligations, you can skip everything else. That'll get you to this final bit here where you can, if you hit check, it's going to say that there are errors. That's the system working the way it's supposed to. However, you can go ahead and hit submit. That'll override the errors. Pangram will accept the submission as you all have sent it in. It will not let you save it because of those errors, but it will let you submit. So again, if you have reported 0 expenditures, 0 obligations, you can go right through and hit submit, and that will satisfy the requirement. We will work on improving this and making this more intuitive than it may currently be, but that'll hopefully make things run a lot more smoothly and a lot more quickly than I know some folks had been going in and working on this, but this will hopefully make it better for moving forward with these 0 expenditure, 0 obligation reports. And that's going to be it for some of the prepared updates and conversations. So with that, I will stop sharing the screen and open it up for questions or discussion that we can help folks troubleshoot any issues as we get into this August reporting deadline. Any questions, topics to discuss? Start calling on names.
Yeah, I was trying to log in to see. I wanted to see if I could see any change in status on where I've submitted an expense report. And I just want to make sure I'm ready. I can go ahead and submit the next disbursement request because I can't submit one without the other one being fully approved. Hang on. Now somebody else ask a question.
Yeah, and if there's something that's still listed as has not been yet approved, I think it means that we need to work with you on updating something that was submitted.
And Sarah, to that point, it's Adam. To that point, me and/or Natalie Garrett can hop on a call.
All right.
To kind of work through those anytime you're available.
Now let me know when you're available today. Like, yeah, okay.
Sure. We can meet after this if you're available.
Yeah, that'd be fine. That'd be good.
Okay.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Anything else?
If you know any project, there's no expenditure this month, and then you would like to give a try, it probably only take 3 to 5 minutes to finish. Just ignore all the errors to submit report you want to do right now in the office hours and to check how it works. You are welcome to do so, and we can help you to troubleshoot all these issues. Again, there's a business rule, and if you have an expense report submitted, and then you have immediately immediate needs to request the money for the same project. Yeah, the current business rule have to make sure your expense report is approved before you can request the money. So keep this in mind. We're working with the SAP team to disable this business rule. But if you do need to request the money, and also in the window you are submitting expense report, we will suggesting you request the money first. Yeah. Hopefully, like this things, this business rule will be distributed by next month. There won't be any of these issues.
All right. Well, I guess we can hang on the line here another few minutes. Wait if there are any other questions or items to discuss. But if you've had your thing answered, your question answered, can feel free to hop off, and we will look forward to seeing all the reports come in next week.
Hi, I just jumped on, so you may have addressed this already, but we're still getting the zero expense validation error. But it appears you can still submit it though. So even with that error, so is that okay?
Yes.
Okay.
So we'll hop back on this real quick so you can see what we just walked through. So we have, and we'll share these slides in follow up to this session. But you can go ahead just with the expenditure report. We have to report some expenses. Provide a reference number. It's whatever number is going to be meaningful to you all. There are no particular parameters on our end for that. Reference date, we suggest just picking the end of the prior month. Give a brief description being that there are no expenses, and then just select the first option there being grant administration personnel costs and enter 0, add the line. With 0, and then for 0 obligations, if you have 0 obligations, go ahead and answer Q2 and enter 0 there. And you can go ahead and actually skip all the rest of these questions then. If you have 0 expenditures and 0 obligations, you can go ahead and skip all of that. You will have these validation errors pop up, but you can go, like you said, go ahead and submit, and we'll accept all of that just fine. So the important things is that we have something recorded as 0s for expenditures and 0s for obligations. And we'll hopefully end up with a more elegant way of handling all of this, but we're just sort of operating within the business rules that are in place now within Pangram.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Yep. All right. Well, if there are no other questions or topics to discuss, we can end the session early. We are, of course, available to work through any unique challenges that you're running up into. Please contact your grants manager, and we have a reporting analyst between Mikey and Natalie assigned to each grants manager. So you should have some familiar faces popping up to help you all out with your reports. And we're happy to hop on Teams and share screens and work through all this together. Just want to make sure that, particularly as we are in these early months of getting reporting information in, we want to make sure that everything is accurate and as complete as possible. So we're building a solid foundation for this data long term, and sort of taking it from there. So I want to thank you all for joining today. We will post the recording from the session as well as the slides up on the NC Pro website in short order. And we'll, like I said, continue to have these sessions the second Tuesday of each month in advance of the applicable reporting deadline for each month. And so please, I think everyone on this list should have received the invite or was forwarded the invite. If you don't have next month on your calendar, you can go ahead and email me, and we'll make sure you're on the long-standing invite for this. We went ahead and scheduled them through the end of the calendar year, and we'll extend from there as needed. So thank you all again. We'll look forward to seeing reports, and please reach out in the meantime if you have any questions or concerns as you navigate the process.